And another thing here, if I'm looking at the earlobes, clinically, one has been cut. And the one that has been cut, there is a scar that is still there, and there is a keloid forming. The Maxwell one.
Nimekukeba toka mikononi mwa ofisi, nitakupenda kama navyopenda bisi. Baby, love is blind and you know that. Wako nimekwama, nimekaza ndati, usisuse asila nini kushike night. Ala kifuani mwangu mi wapo light, usiende speedy, love take it slow. Baby, you are only one, zima hatata, nikushike night. Gizani, unameta mine, despite chini mifukara. Nakuahidi hautoparara, kimapenzi siwezi kung'ora, nikikuchiti nipige bakora. Despite chini mifukara, nakuahidi hautoparara, kimapenzi siwezi kung'ora, nikikuchiti nipige bakora.
And he will take you as two. So what's your problem there? I pay for everything. What's your problem?
You're diverting attention.
Daktari. Now, me, what I know, it's very simple. You have said that Maxwell had a child with Doreen. It's very simple. Why do you go to Maxwell? Take the child of Doreen, do a DNA with that child, and do a DNA with yourself. Still will get Maxwell. Why will you get to Maxwell? That one, in fact, you are going around for no reason. The child is there for Nani from Maxwell. Doreen has a child from Maxwell.
1 year and a half.
1 year and a half. That child and you, the DNA will be done, will know.
So we can even use that way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And remember the DNA of Maxwell, that if Maxwell was your brother, remember that child has the blood of Maxwell. And that blood of that child will still come to you. There's a possibility because these are brother and these are... So, it's something that goes in circle. Unless this child, it was what we call a surrogacy. Probably Doreen carried this child from another person and Maxwell forced her to carry the baby for him. You see, it happens. Or, the semen can be obtained from some man and, of course, to impregnate another woman. So if it was done that way, then we cannot get Maxwell. So if you see...
Is that insemination?
Yeah, it's just like AI. So that's why you see Maxwell talking of all these things, because he knows that where will you get me? And you see he's saying that, well, he's able to do... me also have to tell you, some of the patients, they walk in and they are even ready. When autopsies are done, somebody is killed and so and so has been killed. Others even complicate these things. And a repeat can... That's why we have the government pathologists. Because if you have private pathologists, anything can happen. Because money can buy...
results.
Yeah.
That is now my point.
That's the biggest fear.
That's the biggest thing.
And for your information, don't involve my kid in this case, please. My kid is not Maxwell. I am Maxwell. So don't try to involve my kid in this case. Personally, take my blood.
Maxwell is right, because you see, I cannot say anything no to that. What Maxwell is saying is right. Maxwell can only say, take my child to go for a DNA, because remember, this child is for Maxwell.
But the child is with my sister, who is Doreen now.
Even if it's with your sister, who is Doreen, the child, if it is Maxwell's child, Maxwell must consent.
Let me ask you something.
Let me tell you this. No one will take my child's blood. If you are not willing to take my blood, then let the DNA see.
But doctor, let me ask you something. Can the mother have the authority to grant that permission?
The authority to do what?
They have to consent.
So both parents.
doctor, what if the father and the mother, they are not staying, as in they are not the same? They divorced.
Divorced. And
Can
the
the
mother
mother
is
grant that?
and the mother is happily married on the other side.
Remember, Maxwell here is saying this is his child.
I understand, doctor, but now my sister is having that child right now, you know? So can the mother access that permission of me taking blood from that child?
You are not getting this point, because without my permission, no one will get. No one will.
Because you see, Maxwell is the father of the child.
They don't stay together, doctor.
So
They don't
what's
stay
your
together.
problem? What's your problem? The main thing is no one will take the blood of my.
Together, remember the blood was from Maxwell. This child is Maxwell's child.
Even if the world goes up and down.
Even if it's reciprocated, who comes up, who comes down, Maxwell still remains the father of the child. You know, some of these things, I don't want to try to be like I'm talking out of my line of profession. Because the child remains to be Maxwell's child. And it's Maxwell before we do any surgery, Maxwell has to consent that this my child, this can be done to my child.
They are divorced.
I'm telling you, Maxwell has to consent. Even if they're divorced, the only thing, if the other side, you said, okay, fine, the dowry has been paid, and Maxwell said, this is not my child, I don't want you now. You see that? And now he has sent that family out with the child. That one, anything can be done. But if
That is what he did.
Mr. Stanley, can I just tell you this, that about my daughter, the permission is denied already. You can do nothing.
But you owe each other
nothing. Because she's my daughter, she's not yours.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is it that you want me to be your brother by force?
No, of course, no. I live well, you will be my brother, you will enjoy my wealth. That's
I don't want
because
anything.
you have seen even that before we became
I want to ask a question here. Who wants who to be his brother?
Him. He wants me to be his brother.
Because you are. How comes?
There's something happening here. Maxwell, we should also talk to you, even if it's not now, at some given time. How come you want to force the young man to be your brother?
I do feel.
I don't want to be.
I do feel the main reason is to give to break the marriage of Doreen.
Exactly.
Is it true,
How
Max?
can you force me to be your brother? I don't want.
Is it true, Max?
Why can't we just take the DNA and
Me,
end
I'm
the
the one
case?
who requested. Actually, the doctor, I'm the one who requested the DNA to be done because
Why can't we do that then? Let's do the thing. And
money
stop
talks. Did you not say that? I think he's forcing me to be his brother.
Tell me what you do. The thing is very simple here. It's you who is advocating for both. The question here is one. The young man can as well say, I'm not giving my blood. You know that? Still Maxwell can say, I'm not giving my blood. Still nothing can be qualified. So you see here, we have something that we have to sit, and they talk of sometimes, let's laugh about this. They say handshake. They have to do a handshake. So the young man and Maxwell, you first go and do a handshake before this blood can be obtained. Because the young man is also saying that, well, I'm not ready to give my blood because I don't want to be your brother. You see that? And Maxwell, the other side, I want him to be my brother. You see, why do you want to be your brother? We can't know. The young man also, I don't want you to be my... Wow, you can't know. So what's happening here? These people must go sit, or they come another day. I have no problem. Let them come another day after they have talked. We cannot force the DNA to be done if these two parties are unwilling. Because DNA also you cannot force.
Let me ask you something, Daktari. If I refuse giving out my blood, so we are not brothers.
No.
No. What I'm saying, before it is confirmed, young man.
So when I refuse, we owe each other nothing.
If you don't give, still there is a rift. You see that? Still, you are not brothers because nothing is proved. Me, that mark you are talking about, I've disqualified it. Because even if I look at your mark, yours is fairly up. The Maxwell, the one of Maxwell, the earlobe is cut almost the whole earlobe.
Let me tell you something. He was in India some few weeks ago. He went for surgery, treatment, lungs surgery. I think it is called lobectomy, something like that. But now, the moment he came back after realizing that I'm working straightforward to make sure that justice has to happen, now the thing is, we are brothers.
Can I ask a question, Maxwell? A very simple question. Is it that you want Yuzi to join your team so that you can rob Kabaka Mutesa the whole of his property? Unatafuta mafans wa kukushikilia.
Personally, Kabaka kona mali bado.
You want to team up a team?
Wealthy belongs to my father. So you are talking nothing. Even I don't know why you are asking this question, because in fact, I personally will go for my wealth. I don't need anyone's help. Sawa? Sihitaji usaidizi wa mtu yeyote. Najiweza mimi mwenyewe. And you know me well.
Daktari.
What I can say, based on what I do, we reconcile. But we reconcile sometimes those who are willing to be reconciled. You know, when a wife walks in here with a husband, and the husband wants to be reconciled, the wife doesn't want to be reconciled. You may reconcile these people, they are going to one house. You remember, these people are married. You've been hearing of cases, so and so has been slaughtered, so and what and what. You know, these things sometimes, as doctors or any other parties that probably do reconciliations, you may do it. People work from your office, you know that, well, I've done this work. Then you hear, after probably somewhat, this happened. And you may not even know what's happening, but you can't know. And most of them, I've never heard of somebody doing some harm to anybody, because they're normally done and people really continue with life. But the one I'm facing today is a bit difficult because the one I'm facing today, when you walked in, it was reconciliation and you talked of DNA and everybody was willing for DNA. But now, as point builds, Maxwell is looking at the part of him based on whatever things. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that because he said we should not talk about it. The young man here also is fearing to be joined hand with Maxwell because he's fearing what will happen after that. You see that? And another thing here, if I'm looking at the earlobes, clinically, one has been cut. And the one that has been cut, there is a scar that is still there, and there is a keloid forming. The Maxwell one. There is a keloid. I've never heard of a mark that has a keloid.
What is that keloid?
Keloid now, you see, there is that thing building that has water. It's as if somebody cut. You know, we have some parts of the body when they are cut normally, you find there is that water building. It's like a scar that is forming. Yours has no scar forming. But Maxwell, his has a scar forming. A keloid that a bit watery, you see. But yours has nothing about that. But that one that has keloid, it cannot be a birthmark. It's something that has been cut.
Daktari, I do feel this problem is not only affecting them. I do feel it's also affecting so many people outside there.
Yeah, sure. What's happening? I've seen many people about this. Even there is a lady, I don't want to talk about her name. Now her, after the son, I can say, sometimes you see people are blessed, but they don't want to say that. He got a green card and went out of the country. This was his mother when he was in the country. After flying out of the country, she turned not to be his mother. And he clearly told this lady that, well, you are not my mother. And the lady came to me telling me that this is the son that I even have the birth certificate and everything. He told the mother that birth certificate is nothing. You can even get birth certificate of somebody's child. And that lady somewhere, she's in a lot of poverty. And she brought me even a photograph of a house where she's staying. And the son is in US. You can't even talk about that. And the son is saying that he can only be reconciled with the lady on phone. But remember, US, when we are 7 p.m., they are nearing morning. So talking to somebody at night also is a problem. And he's saying that, well, somebody cannot talk to him that morning, can only talk to him around 10 of our day, the 10 a.m. 10 a.m. in US, me, I'm sleeping. How can you do that? So that means that, well, he's trying to say that I don't want any talk or discussion. So other people, they put you off the way they give you conditions. You hear my friend, the young man, Maxwell. He was very ready. But the moment I think we have talked about this wealth, he has changed. So I don't want you to go back, young man, and share anything like you are discussing, probably you are arguing about what. I don't want that. You people, when you walk out of this office, just greet one another and talk of other stories. But this one that we are discussing now, kindly don't talk about it.
Nimekukeba toka mikononi mwa ofisi, nitakupenda kama navyopenda bisi. Baby, love is blind and you know that. Wako nimekwama, nimekaza ndati, usisuse asilani nikushike night. Ala kifuani mwangu mi wapo light, usiende speedy, love take it slow. Baby, you are only one, zima hatata, nikushike night. Gizani, unameta mine, despite chini mifukara. Nakuahidi hautoparara, imapenzi siwezi kung'ora. Nikikuchiti nipige bakora, despite chini mifukara. Nakuahidi hautoparara, imapenzi siwezi kung'ora.